Hi, BPG. I'd just like to start off by saying thank you for allowing us to interview you and for being here today. If you could, just for the camera, please state your name and your title here at the Illinois Media School.
Okay. Well, my name is BPG. The B stands for Brian. The P is for photographer, producer. And you're not allowed to know my last name because oh shit, you put it on the Chiron, it's right there, damn it. Okay, that was the first joke. All right. Brian Gill, Briangill. I go by BPG. I am an instructor here at the Illinois Media School, and I am IMS. That was the old commercials they made us do. Sorry about that. Okay.
I wish I had a better intro for you like that.
Yeah.
So
Well, let me start off by telling you this, that I am a cosmic nihilist, so nothing I say will matter.
Okay. Duly noted.
I thought you'd like if I started off with a really dry joke. Did anybody get it? No? That's like as dry as it gets for humor. No? Okay, moving on. Sorry.
So, I guess my first question for you is, what led you here to the Illinois Media School?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, what led me here to the Illinois Media School was the talent that was coming out of it. See, I knew about the Illinois Media School years ago when it was the Illinois Center for Broadcasting. In the early 2000s, when I had a choice to go to college, I chose to go to a four-year university in California and study film and video. A buddy of mine went to the Illinois Center for Broadcasting and took 1 year to learn radio. By his second year, he had a job at 670 The Score working on the Boris and Bernstein show, a show I listened to all the time when I was out here. During my second year of college, I made $5,000 working on set and working for food mostly. By the time I graduated, he was already into other full-time jobs and is currently working as a play-by-play announcer for a Florida professional soccer team. And I'm a freelance producer here in Chicago, working from set to set, job to job, working as a photographer and other jobs of that nature. So it was one of those things where I knew about IMS way back then when he was taking the classes and said it was so great. So when I moved back out here in 2010, I was try to hold that still or it's going to affect. I know you were in a bad position there. I'm sorry that you had to be a light stand today. Hopefully if you work hard and you can grow out of being a light stand and be an actual crew member. I'm just making jokes on camera, I'm sorry. Okay, so to answer your question, what drew me to IMS? I was a news producer. I'm going to clear my mouth here. What drew me to IMS was I was a news producer and I was getting interns from the media school. I didn't know anybody there. I had never met anyone here, but I was like, every time I get an intern at IMS, they're way better than the interns at Columbia College. They're way better than the DeVry interns. What's going on at the media school that I need to find out about? So I came and visited. You could probably find this in your B-roll and stock footage. I did a couple of speeches here, which were terrible, where I was like, I don't know what to say. Just come and be a part of my news crew. I need interns, thank you. And then I got more interns. During that process of getting interns, I talked to them about teaching here. I said, hey, I could use a part-time job on the side. Being a TV news producer doesn't pay as much as you think. Why not do some side work here? And then the longer I stayed at IMS, I realized I was in a good place because it allowed me to fulfill certain life philosophies of giving to others more than I take away, of meeting, interesting people and then helping them move on their path to greatness. So it became very satisfying to give back to the community instead of just always taking from it. I think my time at the news desk really did that because I saw a lot of just awful things that affected me profoundly and changed my point of view on the world from being more of from being a consumer to being a provider for others. So that's about what drew me to the Illinois Media School in the first place.
Okay. Yeah, it sounds like there's a lot of different comparisons between especially your four-year education and your friends' one-year education. And I guess, another question I have is, what do you think of secondary education as a whole?
Okay. Scratch my nose, check my lips. Beard looks okay. Okay. What do I think about this? What do I think about the secondary education system as a whole? Well, I think the system is good, but it is flawed in some ways. Okay. Open my notes real quick. Okay. Our traditional elementary schools have a process of basically being a daycare for young kids. They're there so that adults can go out and work their jobs, knowing that their kids are being cared for by someone safe, while they learn the basics, reading, writing, and arithmetic. But at a certain age, once you've learned the most important life skills, at a certain age, when you've reached those most important life skills, what happens is they send you into high school where you're given a trivial pursuit of ideas. You're not really taught how to be an adult and how to function in our society. Additionally, we're at a change in our society where we no longer need structured education at a higher level where we're trying to specialize people into the Industrial Revolution. We're at a stage now where we're competing against automation and robots that have stolen jobs. I personally have been victim to automation making certain jobs easier so that I'm no longer needed there, hence why I chose to go to college in the first place. I needed to specialize to try to become better at a certain task. That leads me to my next note, which was, let's see. Okay, and then additionally, let's see. Okay, so additionally, second education works as a way to keep people out of the working market and forcing them to pay into their own education, into the big business of education. So that's where I think one of the big flaws of education is that it itself is its own big business, having students and people pay their way into the system to try to make an opportunity for something better for them that is not necessarily needed. A lot of smart people will say you don't need a structured education to do a good job. You just need to be a hard worker. So I think with those flaws, one being that the education system is a business, a big business that makes money off of the people by keeping them out of the workforce, I would like to see that changed. Additionally, I would like to see at this secondary education level more adulting skills. If I was not taught by my father many things, I wouldn't know how to pay my taxes or balance a budget, because in my high school, those were not classes they took. They made you take. So.
Makes sense. Going back from what you're saying about the more structured education system, how do you think that the Illinois Media School, with its very intense 8 to 9 month program, and how it's not as structured as a traditional 4-year university, how do you like?
I'm gonna cut you off really quick, Brandon. Or how bad is this sound in the shot? You're not hearing it much?
No,
Okay,
not much.
just checking. Sorry. Because if we were doing this again, I would have said, "Wait, we'll shut this down so it's silent and not having this constant hum of a fan." So you don't hear it that bad?
Well, I mean, you hear it, but it's not like it's unnoticeable. It looks like
Try
it looks.
pointing the microphone right at my mouth. Yeah, that's gonna get you the best audio and cut down on some of that noise. It's just something I noticed in the process. Sorry, Max. Continue with your question. You were asking me about the hands-on education.
How the hands-on education compares with that of a traditional 4-year university with lecture halls and taking notes in class, just in general.
Well, I think the Illinois Media School. So how do I think the hands-on education at the media school differs or is similar to the brick and mortar 4-year universities?
Yes.
The truth is, all schools have hands-on education. No matter where you're going to go, you're going to get a hands-on education. The difference is, at a 4-year university, you're going to have a lot of people in front of you that you can learn from. You're going to have people who are retired from certain specialties that are now teaching, versus here at our program, you're going to get people who are working their specialty teaching you how to do the job. Additionally, with our hands-on program, there is less time for lecture, so you're focused mostly on being a tool for the media system rather than being a contributor or a producer, someone who understands the greater points of it. So what I like about the 4-year university that I took was the years that I spent studying film form, understanding how to direct an audience's attention and how to move their eyes, understanding why we do certain things that with the restrictions and the time limits we have here, you don't always get to give to the students. I looked down, I had one more, let's see. I said that, I said that, I said that. Okay, I think this is where I wanted to add in this note here, and then I can get rid of this. All right, continuing in interview.
So with the Illinois Media School being a shortened program than traditional 4-year university, do you think that having it shorter and more condensed, and do you think that's more beneficial than having an education being spread out over a 4-year span?
Okay, so do I think having a shortened education is better or worse than a 4-year education?
I guess a more specific education over a short period of time, is that better than a general education over 4 years? Not sure how that else.
I was just trying to repeat it, the question and the answer, but I do understand what you're saying because I've already written my notes down for it based on the wonderful questions you sent me. So thank you for that. How do I think students going through an intense short program is more beneficial than having a 4-year education? I'd say there's pros and cons to both. Okay, what the Industrial Revolution did to us as humans was it forced us to specialize. And I'm very fond of an Alan Watts quote, which goes, "The price for us being specialized is ignorance." Because we specialize in a single task, we're ignorant to how other tasks work. So for example, if you're here in an intensive program learning just the art of media creation, well then you're not necessarily taking in everything you need to know about the entire process. Sure, you know how a camera turns on and how to point it at something, but do you really understand the physics of light and how it passes through the lens and the glass to touch a sensor and react to certain diodes, which tell you which pixel is which color, mixing RGBs, etc. The more complicated, we try our hardest to simplify this process, but it is a very in-depth process. So in a shortened form, you miss out on certain things that I think are important that hopefully you learn down the line. But as it goes, the pros to the system are it's at a lower cost. It's so much cheaper than going to a major university. I personally wish I went here versus going to a 4-year university simply so I don't have to deal with the debt that accumulated from going to a 4-year university. In a short program, you're most likely to get into a job faster. When I was at college, I took a 4-year program and did it in 3 years, but that's because I got all my gen eds out of the way in my first 2 years of college. So technically I was in college for 5 years, paying into the system while working jobs as an intern for free way too much, getting paid only in food. So in this case, you're getting into the system much faster you're getting into the work market much faster by going to a short system. Another pro is the condensed classes and the condensed lessons. By cutting out a lot of that fluff from a lecture hall, you're getting a 100-level course. Try, Brandon, instead of doing it over your head, you can do a couple of things. One, just hanging it on your shoulder. Yeah, just like that, and just sort of keeping it there. But the other one I was going to say is just hold it under your hands like this. So put it underhand it. So just hold it kind of at your waist, a little bit lower. Just let your arms loose. Let your arms down. Now turn it. So no. Put your other arm down. Remember, this is a head that you can turn. So if you do something like this, now you can keep your hands straight, much easier, and you're aiming it right at my mouth without losing that. Is that better than having to hold it up in the air? See, I'm still teaching in the middle of an interview. Sorry I didn't tell you that earlier. I was actually trying to see how long you could last. I've been a boom guy before on set, and it can be brutal. Normally it's not this long. Anyways, back to the responses. Where was I? So another pro to the condensed lesson is no waste of time. And then probably the biggest pro to this system is that you only get what you want. You're not being forced to take math classes and literature classes and science and philosophy if you don't want to. You're being told, take this, this, and this, and you will have a basic knowledge of media and enough to get you a job, versus having to spend the extra 3 years learning all of the aspects instead of just what you want. Now, some of the cons to this program would be lack of networking opportunities. When you go to a big university, you're in a community. You're in a small city of people where you never know who you're going to meet that might lead you down your path towards your career. You're also having different types of teachers. So you have a better chance at meeting like-minded people or people who will help you out throughout your career. In addition to that, one of the cons to the program is there is a lot of information that's missed. I personally work very hard on trying to structure my lesson plans so that I only present the most important information and then focuses on deadlines and goals. This is our goal, this is our deadline, we need to work to meet this deadline, and then using the first couple of classes for lecture to give you the tools you need to accomplish that deadline. At a bigger university, you have more time to really get in depth to all the nuances of this media. And probably the final note I would give on that, or cons, would be you miss out on a lot of opportunity to learn at a 4-year university. I live with the philosophy that you must seek knowledge constantly and try to grow your knowledge every day. You want to continue to devour as much knowledge as you can so that you do not become ignorant through your specialty. I work as a producer and a photographer, so when I became a photographer, I had to learn how do lenses work? How does the image sensor work? What's the difference between image sensor sizes and why does that matter? What is ISO and how does that work in a digital realm? What is an f-stop and how do the different f-stops change the way the image looks? So I had to continue to study that even after college Beyond that, to be a better director, I've taken years reading and studying philosophy and other types of sociology to understand the human condition better, to be better at directing. So at a four-year university, you're almost forced to do all that work, whereas here, you can get in and get out with a basic education, but miss out on a lot of other education that would be there at a different university. So there are pros and cons to the system, but I do think we have them beat in a way here at IMS. Just wanted to add that commercial part at the end, sorry.
It's a very well thought out answer, and obviously with being somebody so passionate about the work that we do here, are there any accomplishments or anything that you've implemented here at the school during your time that you're particularly proud of?
Oh, there are so many things that I've implemented here at the school that I'm very proud of. Probably right off the bat would be watching the students that I teach go out and get jobs. There was an inception level moment where a student that took my night class, he was in my night class, his name Mark Maxwell, he wanted to be a TV news anchor, he wanted to be a TV reporter, he wanted to get his face and voice on TV. He took my live broadcast class, and then within a year, after going to the studio that I introduced him to and introducing him to different people, became the news producer for the show that I produced after I left. To see one of my former students doing my job a year down the line based on his ability to network and meet people made me very proud. In addition, there are students like David Izzo and others who have won awards, both monetary and just name awards, through the Silver Dome category. We had a bunch of students this year nominated for the IBS Awards, and stuff that I've implemented. I mean, look around you, pan around the studio. Every one of these equipment is placed here by me, by hand, with the power that the media school has given me. Before I started here, our script computer right over here was in the other room. You can pan, yeah, you can go for it. Before I started here at the school, the scripting computer that we had was in the other room. So if I wanted to talk to somebody who was on script, I had to leave this room, tell them how to work the script, and then come back in this room and get to work. Little things like that. Almost every part of this studio was placed by me and the different teachers and the different instructors that allow me to do this stuff. Before I got here, there was no sound computer, so you couldn't do sound drops during your live broadcasts. Before I got here, we had standard def TriCasters. Now we have HD TriCaster and HD live stream. And on top of that, I would just say just the different projects we're doing. So one good example would be, and you can look back and I would suggest the projects that I list, I'm talking to the editor now, the projects that I list, you're going to want to find this B-roll across the building and then feature it. So some of the best projects I would say would be the many live broadcasts we've done, both live sporting events and live productions that we've done in recordings for Sam Ash, for hockey, for the Windy City Bulls. I mean, Pete Ferrari just outside the door. He just ran away, damn it. Getting the Windy City Bulls contract and then getting a renewal of that contract was huge, and I was a part of that as well. Going to the Sears Center and helping them learn how to color balance cameras, how to operate their machines, and then having students get real life work experience working through the media school. I'm going to give you some more projects to look up, editor. I mentioned Dave Izzo. Make sure you look up his PSA for power lines. Let's see. Windy City Bulls. And not to mention the dozens of quality music videos and public service announcements. We just wrapped a week ago 2 commercials that were produced in 1 week, and both of them were of high quality. And there are many commercials and music videos out there that touch on sensitive subjects like domestic abuse, like violence, like drug abuse, sexuality. All of these things are covered by the very talented students that come through here. So there's so many different things that I've implemented. And probably my most favorite would be the new one we're doing, which is the WIMS Versus, where we are now staying around after class in our own version of an AV club, where students are able to practice the machines they're learning in class and get to play video games and show it off to their friends and family as they learn their voice and how to present it to others, as well as learning the behind the scenes of what it takes to be able to one day do this for yourself. Hopefully my goal, and this is what I try to offer to everyone, is that when you come into the program with an idea, we should be able to help you turn that idea into a property that you can take away and sell later on down the line. But probably my favorite memory was a class I did a long time ago where we did the mannequin challenge, something to look up as well. It did not turn out to the quality that I wanted because we had some camera issues, but overall that was a great experience because the school let me take over the building and do whatever I wanted for an hour. And I got to walk in as BPG, the director, and say, this class, here's your script. You go to this room and start setting up your mannequins. And then this class, and I got to walk in the class. Here's your script. You go to this room and you set up these mannequins. And when you see that video of us walking through the campus and showing off the TV studios and the radio stations and all of the amazing stuff this building has to offer, like that was just a really great experience. It made me feel like I was truly home here at the media school. That they let me take over the building and just do what I wanted, and we all created art together.
And, that's, I guess in media in general, that's a big part of the whole thing, just creating things together, being part of teams to make something bigger than yourself.
That's right. I wish you had the mic on him. That was well said.
Well, I just want to thank you again for allowing us to interview, and thank you very much for your time. We really appreciate it.
You're very welcome, and thank you all for the great work you've done so far. I mean, having this setup, we've got lights, we've got cameras, we've got mics, we've got questions. You guys worked very hard on your script. You communicated with me the ideas, gave me more than enough time to prepare for this interview so I didn't sound like an idiot, although I'm pretty sure I did anyways. I mean, overall, this was a professional project, so great job on what you've done so far, and good luck as you keep going on this. Say that over again when I'm not running out of breath. So good job on what you've done so far, and good luck as you go forward in this documentary. I can't wait to see how it turns out.
Thank you.
You're welcome.